One. So we have someone very special today who's making serious waves on the road and coming, to talk to us a little bit about himself, about what's going on. And right now, he's a full-time Xfinity Series driver. And here we have him, Ryan Vargas. What a pleasure to have you. You're driving a Chevrolet Camaro for JDA Motorsports with the number 6. Thank you so much for taking our call and welcome.
Thank you. No, it's a pleasure to be on this call.
Oh yeah, Ryan. So on the 15th of February, you made a lot of noise, especially for a tweet that you. By the way, you're very very active on social media. I can see that, and you were asking to be sponsored for the Daytona Road Course race that you just happened this past weekend. And then a journalist tagged the Saints superstar Alvin Kamara, and he replied back to the tweet asking how to get involved. What happened next? Like how did this whole thing came to be?
Yeah, so really we were going into the Daytona Road Course without a sponsor. The car was going to be blank. And I just, when you go to Daytona, you kind of want to bring out some of your nice stuff. So, even if the car wasn't a complete, paint scheme, I still felt like it would be cool to have a sponsor. And I just said, let's make a post. And so we put it out there, see if anyone was interested in being a part of the race team for the weekend. And of all people, Alvin Kamara just, showed his interest. Very quickly, I was quick to, shoot him a message and say, hey, if you're actually interested, like, let's get in an email, let's get on a call, and let's see what we could do. And within about an hour and a half, 2 hours, we were on the phone talking with him and trying to figure out how to get him involved in being a partner of our team. And here we are now. And literally 36 hours later, we had the car ready and it all decked out with the big squeezy, his juice bar. It was just such a unique experience, something that I have never done in racing. And I'm glad it got as much waves as it did.
Do you like football at all? Do you follow football?
I follow football loosely. I'm not like, 110% like into it. But I'm definitely more of a Saints fan now.
But do you know who he was, right? I mean,
oh yeah, I mean, there's no denying it. I mean, everyone knows his incredible game on Christmas when he had 6 touchdowns in a game. I mean, it was just huge.
So it's not really that common, like for drivers themselves to request for a sponsorship, but you seem to be in a position for it to be necessary. I mean, what would have happened if you didn't get that sponsorship? You would have still raced, right?
Yeah, we would have still raced. We just wouldn't have had the support, the support that we did. We wouldn't have the tire money, the right equipment. And then really, when we look for sponsorship, we have to cover the tire money and the at-track costs. When the car is blank, that usually means that we're, taking a little bit of a hit, which is fine. But it's just tough. It makes the weekend just go a little bit harder. To see how much people got behind this and enjoyed seeing this, it brought a lot of eyeballs, not just to myself, but to this JD Motorsports team. I mean, this was just as big, if not bigger, than our deal last year with TikTok. So, I mean, it continues to, bring eyeballs to myself. Exactly. Yeah. To bring eyeballs to everything and to legitimize what we do. And I think that's the most important thing is it shows that, there is value and, the sport's constantly evolving and we are a threat, to go out there and, hang with those big guys and, bring in those big names like Alvin.
So is this partnership going to be for the remainder of the season or was it just for this particular race, for this weekend?
We're still working on a lot of things, but, right now, it was just good to get that Daytona race in and we'll see where this goes.
So have you done this type of request before? I know you mentioned TikTok and they also partnered with you last year. How did that one happen? I mean, that was a pretty big one. And you seem very happy with it too. I saw the whole posting on TikTok. They were really great.
Yeah. When you get sponsors like this, like I said earlier, it brings a lot of eyes. But with TikTok, when that happened, it started off, a buddy of mine, Ryan Pastana, he's a graphic designer. He does paint schemes for a bunch of drivers, including myself. And, he knew that I was a big TikTok user. And so just out of the blue, and obviously during the COVID lockdown, we were all just kind of stuck indoors and bored. He made a TikTok paint scheme and put it on Twitter, wanted to see what people thought. And as this went on, people liked it, people were sharing it, it started trending a little bit, and it ended up getting to someone at TikTok, and they looked at it kind of as a why not, type of thing. It was a great story. It worked out very well, through word of mouth. They were able to get my info. We had a couple conversations. I'll tell you this, it was definitely interesting being, someone who, like, I do my own marketing and stuff like that. So to go into these meetings with, heads of marketing at one of the biggest social platforms in the world, and be there on my own, it was a definite learning experience for myself. But through that, we were able to go from talking about, hey, let's do one race, let's do Talladega. So, okay, maybe 3 races to finishing out the 2020 season with TikTok on the car. So, I've learned a lot. I've tried to get better at what I'm doing, with the marketing side of everything. I still have a lot to learn, but it kind of goes back to what I said earlier about legitimizing everything. It goes back to what I say, I don't have to tell you that I'm working hard. I don't have to sit here and tell you that I'm trying to do this, because the proof's in the pudding. We have TikTok, we have Swan Communications now this year, we have Alvin Kamara on the Big Squeezy. We're getting these partners coming slowly but steadily, and they're big partners. So, right there, that's an eyeball. Those are eyeballs coming to me saying, oh man, this kid's doing it. So hopefully we keep that momentum up. Homestead's looking still a little tough, but fingers crossed we get something put together for these.
Oh no, I'm pretty sure you will, man. I cannot believe I'm talking to a 20-year-old who's accomplished so much. So we want to congratulate you on that. And you're doing great, man. And it seems like you're really well involved with that, when you could have just simply just let somebody else deal with that, and you just concentrate on the driving. And I don't think a lot of people, when they look from the outside in, and all the stickers, all the all the sponsorship on the cars, they don't really understand what really goes behind that. And now you're telling us how important that is. And so, what's next for you? What's the next race coming up? And what are your plans for that race?
Yeah, so this weekend we're racing at Homestead Miami Speedway. That's going to be my first race at that track. We're actually going. We have a little bit of a stretch here. We're going from Miami to Vegas to Phoenix to Atlanta, all in a row. It's going to be a pretty intense set of races here. Miami is going to be pretty warm, so it's going to be a pretty physical race. Obviously, I'm still kind of doing my thing, trying to get those sponsorships coming and trying to see what we can get, to cover those tire costs and stuff like that. And, like you said earlier, when it comes to sponsorships, racing is one of the only sports that really, where the funding ultimately dictates the performance sometimes. If we go out there and have a race where we don't have a sponsor, we may have a run where we're not running on brand new tires, and we start struggling because of that. So the sponsorships directly impact the teams in a lot bigger ways than people think.
So Ryan, we also want to talk a little bit about you, more on a personal level. We're going to get to know you a little bit more. We know that you have become kind of like a spokesman for craniosynostosis, and I'm sorry if I said it wrong, but
no, you said it right.
All right,
you're one of the few reporters that said it.
I got to be honest with you. I mean, this is the first time that I've seen it, and I obviously it's a condition that we would like to hear from you what it means, what it is, so what people understand, and I get to learn a little bit more about what exactly it is, because you have become kind of like the symbol for it, and we've seen fans embracing you, posing with you with pictures, and even you're going to talk about the helmet, but let's first concentrate on this, and then how did your parents dealt with this? So please go ahead.
Yeah, so I was born with, obviously, craniosynostosis, specifically coronal synostosis, where the soft spot on my head, I can actually show you my scar. It goes all the way around my head. I just got a haircut today, so it works out good. But basically, my soft spot closed, and it caused this part of my head to be completely flat. It's still actually misshapen today. It's still really flat right here. I was very fortunate that mine, it was serious. I did have to have surgery, obviously, because I have the scar. But it wasn't serious to where I have any, remaining effects from that. For others, it is worse. Sometimes there's, affects them for the rest of their life. Some don't have it as bad to the point where they don't even need surgery. They just wear they just wear a little helmet or something like that. So it's one of those things that isn't talked about, but it affects a lot of people. It affects 1 in every 2 to 3,000 kids. So
That's a
it's
lot.
it's a lot more common than people think. And I'm very fortunate to work alongside a great nonprofit called FACES, the National Craniofacial Association. They deal with helping families who deal with these craniofacial differences, just like craniosynostosis. So they tackle a whole variety of different craniofacial differences, which is important to me. All faces are the same, and I think that's the most important thing there.
So, what kind of challenges do you go through as a kid or growing
Mm-hmm.
up? Do you have any of those challenges still happening? How much that has affected I would say, the functioning or in general, the general well-being of the person? How much does that affect in your
So
case?
for myself, I haven't had any anything residual, nothing, affecting me. But
Okay.
after getting more involved in the craniosynostosis community, I've learned a lot more about some families who to this day are still, suffering the consequences of just how all this happens, all the surgery, or not being able to afford surgery and stuff like that. It's tough. And I know a lot of parents out there, they're concerned when their kid has a craniosynostosis. They worry if if they'll be able to chase their dreams of being an athlete or being a race car driver. So whenever I go to a racetrack and I see a kid with craniosynostosis, I try to be that guy that's kind of like the inspiration for them and kind of shows them that I'm, they could still, do what they want to do in life. They could still pursue this dream. They don't have to let this hold them back. And I think that's a really important thing there. It makes my day seeing these kids when we pose next to the race car. Whenever I have a craniosynostosis organization on the car, we'll pose next to the car and we'll point to our scars. So that's pretty cool.
That's awesome. So, what are some of the things that you hear from the fans or the parents when they approach you? When you're talking about this, what do they tell you?
you know like I said, it's a lot about just being that source of inspiration
Hmm.
to these families, to these kids. They have that question of, can I do this? Can I be the person I want to be with this difference that I have? And I'm here to show them, yeah, you can. You can still chase this. I'm not only am I one of the few, if not only, craniosynostosis athletes out there, but we have a lot of barriers that I had to break through to get to this point, and I still have a long way to go. So there's just so many things that I want to do as an individual to show these families and show these kids that they could chase their dreams.
What kind of things do your parents tell you? Because I'm pretty sure when you were born and they realized what was going on, what were the things that they struggled with? What did they have to go through when this came out to be?
So obviously there was worry. My mom had the same worries that all these parents that I talked to have. Like, are there going to be any are there going to be any
Long
residual
term. Hmm.
issues? Yeah, is this going to be a long-term thing? What are some things that we have to look out for? And like I said earlier, I'm very fortunate to the point where I don't currently have any residual issues.
Hmm.
For myself, you know they were definitely worried. There was that worry there. And it's tough. Getting the surgery is not cheap. It's a very extensive process. There's overnight stays, and it's just something that isn't talked about enough,
Yeah.
I feel.
How old were you when they did your first surgery? Was it one surgery or
It
were
was just
many?
one.
One.
It was
Okay.
just one surgery. I was 11 months old.
11 months old. Wow.
Hmm.
Okay. Now your helmet. Talk to me about
Hmm.
your helmet because you also have that on your helmet. You have the
Yep.
scar on the helmet. What was the
Yeah.
inspiration
So
about it?
I just wanted to kind of show that, to the people, show that that's kind of who I am. The scar.
Mhm.
If I didn't have this surgery, I wouldn't be here. I frankly, I don't think I could, you know, be the person I am today if I didn't, get this surgery. Who knows what I'd be. So for me, it's a source of inspiration to me. You know, I look at the scar in the mirror and I don't see it as something that's, you know, wrong with me. I see it as a thing that, you know, is as the reason that I'm here. And so I put it on all of my helmet designs, you know, and that's going to be something I do until I stop racing, is continue to have the scar on the helmet.
So obviously you're Vargas, you're a Latino, you're a parent. We're talking about your Mexican descent. So you bring that flavor to the racetrack. We've seen a lot of changes happening since last year. You know, 2020 was a year where NASCAR made a big commitment and took it to look within itself basically and realize that a lot of changes needed to happen, and we're seeing some of them. We have Michael Jordan on the team. We have Pitbull owning a team. uh, well, Daniel Suarez has always been the face for the Latin community, and now we also have the situation with Baba Wallace, and everything that went on. So how do you believe that everything that happened last year will change things around? What do you expect for the future of the races?
I think what this does is it opens up a whole new door to a whole new community of, you know, new race fans. You know, I talked with Alvin Kamara about this. You know, we did a press conference last week, and he was saying, you know, with all the moves that NASCAR's made, he felt more comfortable being at the racetrack. He felt more welcome at the racetrack. And, you know, when he went to his first race, he said he enjoyed the heck out of it. So, I mean, it's NASCAR is making the right moves. You know, you see Bubba Wallace, you see Daniel Suarez, you see the team owners like Pitbull and Michael Jordan. People are starting to rally behind these guys and recognize, you know, the efforts, you know, for diversity in the sport. And, you know, with everything that's happened in the last week, you're seeing a lot more people rally behind me. You know, hopefully one day I can go up there and you know, compete against Daniel and Bubba. But right now, you know, we're just working on building that up, you know, building up my, you know, A, skills as a driver, but B, you know, my funding to go race. And so that's where, you know, all these partnerships are happening, and that's where we're continuously growing.
I wanted to also talk to you a little bit about when you started this. I mean, you were born in La Mirada, you're a local boy. We're very proud to say that. You're from La Mirada, like I said. And how did this whole thing started for you? This whole passion of being a racer.
Yeah, I tried every sport. I
Mm-hmm.
I did not like any of it. I was awful. I got bored playing it. It just wasn't something I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I always liked cars. I always liked anything with four wheels and a motor. I would wake up at 5, 6 a.m. to watch reruns of old races on Speed Channel when that was
Oh
around.
wow.
I mean, it was something that I just really liked growing up. And when the opportunity came about for me to actually drive race cars, you know, I went to Irwindale Speedway, a local track out there. Um, and I saw that there was, you know, a series called Bandoleros, something that kids can race. Um, and I knew right away, I was like, this is what I want to do. Um, and just so from there, we got our first car, started running races. You know, right off the bat, we actually had some decent speed, won a couple championships, won a bunch of races, just continued moving up. Um, I know people don't see Southern California as much of a NASCAR
Mm-hmm.
community, but you know, those who race out in Southern California, that there is a very deep, you know, there is a lot of deep roots in the racing community out in Southern California, out on the West Coast. You know, there's some incredible racetracks. Um, and I think that's all what shaped me into who I am today and made me a better driver.
Awesome. Now, so you never liked soccer or anything like that? Was
Mm-mm.
what kind of a sport does your dad enjoy?
He loves football. Like
Football.
when I told him that Alvin hit me up,
Kamara.
he he lost his mind.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Did you get to meet him yet? Face to face?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yes.
And wow.
I
Yeah,
got to
go
meet
for
him
it.
in Daytona. He got to go
Uh,
up into he got to go and watch the race, you know, from the track, which was awesome. And I was able to meet him. It was just, it was a really cool experience to kind of get to know him personally. You know, not on the business side, but just talking to him, tell him about my story. And he knew my story. He did his research. And that was the cool
nice.
thing. He didn't jump into this blind. He knew what he was getting into, and he embraced it fully. He was so excited. So um, that made this whole partnership really just make sense, but also just go as smoothly as it did.
And did your dad get to meet him yet?
No, both my parents have been in California, so they're out there currently.
Okay, where are you right now? North Carolina, right?
Yeah, Huntersville, North Carolina.
Okay, and are you planning to come to California soon, or how is it planned?
It just kind of depends on travel and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. You know, I know California, they have their things going on, so it's kind of tough to schedule these things. And then also we do have these 4 races, you know, in a line in a row
Mm-hmm.
here, so it's tough to kind of make that time, especially when, you know, I'm sitting right here at my desk. I got my calendar right here underneath me, and every day there's a new thing
Awesome.
that I'm trying to do. So uh, it's hard for me to make time. I try to make time as much as I can for family, because family always comes first.
Yeah, of
But
course.
I've definitely planned on making a trip out there at some point in the next few weeks.
So that's where you reside right now, in North Carolina.
Yes.
No, okay, awesome. So to have a career, and you kind of like touched into it, but I would like to get a little bit more detail. This is one of the last couple of questions that I have for you. So obviously, as a driver, it's a very expensive career, and I know that in some of your posts you have talked about your parents, about the work that they did or they do. I believe your dad was a construction worker, and
Hmm.
your mom a school teacher.
Yep.
So I mean, it's not like they're gonna be millionaires,
Yeah.
but this is a
No.
very expensive careers. But I mean, they were able to support you and still make your help you to make that dream happen. So how did that go into making your dream possible?
Yeah. It just really comes down to everything that we did leading up to. I would say everything that led up to 2018, because we raced all out in Southern California,
Hmm.
at Irwindale, and traveled all across the state to race. But I remember my parents sitting me down in August of 2017, and they told me, they said, this is more than likely going to be our last year racing, that you know, we can do this. We had a few small sponsorships here and there, but nothing that can completely cover the cost of actually racing and racing competitively. Um, they sat me down. They said, this might be the last year that we do this, you know, full bore. After this, you're probably going to have to look into going to college and doing all, you know, finding a career, or we just got to try and figure out what we can. I was very fortunate at the end of 2017 to make the NASCAR Drive for Diversity program, which allowed me to move to the East Coast, uh, and pursue this dream legitimately. And that opened so many doors for myself, in the sport, in this industry, to where I was able to go out and race, um, and learn what I can, you know, not just on the racetrack, but off it, making those business connections, you know, trying these different tracks that the Cup Series race on. There's just so many things that, you know, was opened in such a short period of time. Um, it just kind of comes back to how everything panned out. You know, if I didn't make the diversity team, the drive for diversity team in 2018, I probably wouldn't be on this call with you right now. I probably wouldn't be racing race cars. Um, you know, I probably wouldn't have met Johnny Davis. I probably would never had an Xfinity start. So it's a lot of, you know, timing, a lot of good timing. At the end of 2018, when you know, I was unfortunately, lost that ride, on that team,
Hmm.
I was able to pick up a sponsor right away, and we were able to race late models, you know, all across the country, both on the East and West Coast, um, sponsored. Um, and that gave me so much seat time, so much time to build my brand up, that we were able to go and start the opportunity to race in the Xfinity Series. So, um, you know, kind of going back to the beginning here, with my mom being a kindergarten teacher, my dad being a construction worker, we don't have the funding. We do not. The fact that I'm at this point is insane to me. And that comes a lot to, you know, people believing in me, and, you know, incredible partners like TikTok, like Swan, like the Big Squeezy, um, like all the people who support me to get to this point, um, that have opened their arms to me and have seen what we do, um, and believe in what I can do on the racetrack.
That's awesome, man. And actually, I had one more question, but now I have two.
Yeah.
I know there's a project that you've been working on, and I wanted to hear about it a little bit. You took your dad's old car,
Yep.
and I haven't seen the result yet. Maybe I didn't dig deep enough. But how did that come to be? I mean, What's the deal with that one? I'm really intrigued right now.
So my dad had an old Hyundai that he bought for like $800. He used it for the last 5-6 years for work, and that thing has probably, I think it was like 250,000 miles on it, something like that. Basically, it's at the point where it's done. There's nothing you can get out of it. So, I mean, frankly, if we probably couldn't even sell it for $400 if I'm being honest. So I just kind of took it. I'm holding on to it. We're gonna strip it all down, take all the interior out of it, and we're probably gonna turn it into what's called a skid plate car, where it's a front wheel drive car and you weld metal plates to the back tires and they slide around the track. Probably gonna find a track out here that races them, and me and my roommate's probably gonna go out there and just have some fun. We called it Homies Motorsports, so it'll be fun.
Sounds like fun. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
And lastly, who was your inspiration? I mean, as a driver, usually athletes have somebody else who inspires them. Or, oh my God, I want to be like this guy, or I want to be like that guy. Who is that guy for you, or who was it?
The funny thing is like, I get that question a lot, and I never have a proper answer for it. That answer changes a lot. But I'd say the reason why it changes is because every year I'm doing something completely different, and I'm racing against people, or I'm dealing with people that are at such a higher level than I am, that I look up to those people, and I want to be like them. I mean, I could rattle off 5 names right here. I mean, you look at, at the short track level, I looked up to Nick Joinitis, Sean Woodside out here racing Xfinity, Josh Williams, BJ McLeod, Jeffrey Earnhardt, guys like that. There's so many people that I see, from the sidelines, and I'm like, those guys are doing it right. That's who I want to be. They go out, they race their heart out, they don't have everything handed to them, and they make the most of it, and they're successful. That's where I want to be, and that's what I want to do.
Awesome, Ryan. We really, really thank you for your time. And if you have a last message for that new community that's there to get to know you, to get to meet you, go ahead. If you have a message for them, it's all yours.
Yeah, I just hope, everyone who sees this or everyone who reads this, I hope, I don't want to sit here and tell you that I'm a good race car driver. I don't want to sit here and tell you that I'm a hard worker. I want you guys to follow me for yourself, make that decision for yourself. And hopefully in the next 2-3 years, we're talking about me racing cup races and winning races.
Awesome, Ryan. Again, thank you so much for your time, and for all of you who are watching this. Don't forget that you can follow us in all of our platforms for LA Times en Español, and you can follow me also at @ or at Jad Elreda. So thank you so much. Good luck to you, Ryan. We'll be in touch.
Sounds good. Thank you for having me.